Hi everyone, and welcome to Make It Speakable 2025. We're excited to show you what's new for teachers and school leaders this year. Let's kick off with our CEO and co-founder, Austin Lush.
Hard over the summer. Hi everyone, how we doing? I am excited today to introduce a series of new features. In this first session, we're going to look at things that were primarily developed for teachers. And let's pull up our screen share here. So we're going to kick it off with two completely new features. The first is the short answer page. The second is standards-based grading, which is a new grading method on open response pages. Then we're going to take a look at some of the updates we made to the AI engine, and finally look at the updates we made to the free plan. So let's dive in. So introducing short answer. This is a classic activity type with a new twist. And we're going to take a look at 4 examples of ways you can use short answer in Speakable, and then we'll take a look at how to set it up. So the first is a comprehension check. Here we have a question and then a video we can watch to find the answer.
¿Cuántas personas asistieron a la reunión familiar de María?
Okay, now let's look for this answer in the video.
Casi toda. Vinieron mis padres, mis 2 hermanas, mis abuelos, unos primos. Éramos como 20 personas.
Okay. 20 personas. Now we'll submit the answer, and Speakable will grade this automatically. Now let's take a look at another activity. So here we're doing grammar practice. Conjugate the verb beber into the yo form. So let's give this a try. Okay, let's see what kind of feedback students are going to receive here. You're close. This is for the to form. Let's think about changes for the yo form in the present tense. Okay, we'll give this another try. And there we go, we've gotten it correct. Another use case here is fill in the blank. You can simply set up your fill in the blank questions here. And then Speakable will grade these automatically and provide students with feedback. And finally, we can do vocabulary and translation, simple practices to translate native language words into the target language. Now, before we go into looking at how to set these up, I want to do a quick activity here with anyone that's in the chat. So does anyone know where in the world Chatty is? Hi, Liliana. Good morning. Any guesses? Okay, we'll come back to this. So now we're in the builder looking at our short answers. To set these up, it's super easy. We can paste in our question, click on the auto grading tab, and in this case, you'll see I didn't even put a correct answer in. But we can use Speakable to generate the answer. If this is the kind of activity or the kind of question where it's a pretty obvious answer, we don't need to put anything in here. Speakable should know. If we're referencing media, we'll need to add in an answer, like the case where we were using the video here. So we've added in the correct answer for Speakable to work with. Okay. Any colonial city in Latin America? Yes. And Cartagena. Let's give it a try. Okay, Chatty is in Cartagena. Okay, second, I'm excited to introduce you all to standards-based grading. This is the easiest auto grading to set up for our open response pages, whether that's written response or spoken open response. So looking at our first example here, we've set up a prompt and then we've included standards-based grading using the actual standards, and we're going to have a target here for the students of novice mid. So let's look at how this works for our students. C. So we're analyzing the response here, looking to see if this meets our benchmark of novice mid. Okay, so we're coming in at novice low here. That's our estimated proficiency level of our response. And we're going to get a little bit of feedback here to work with. It's a great start, directly answers the question. To reach novice mid, you'll want to move beyond single words and start using simple, short sentences to share basic personal information. Okay. Now let's look at the suggested response and see if this can help us out. Okay, now let's try again. Sí, tengo 3 hermanos. This time we've added a little more context. And we can see here we've made it to the novice mid level, and we've received the points for this activity. Now let's try a novice high example. Okay, describe your family and your relationship. Hola, mi nombre es Austin. En mi familia hay 6 personas. Tengo 3 hermanos y mis padres. Cuando estamos juntos, nos gusta hacer cosas como comer comida muy rico. And in this case, we've set the target level to novice high. So we can see we've reached this level. We've gotten some feedback. And we're getting an indication of a grammar mistake made here. Now, how do we set up standards-based auto grading? In our open responses, whether this is a spoken open response or a written open response, we simply add in our prompt, go into the automatic grading, choose standards-based here, determine which standard we'd like to use, and then select the target level here. We can also decide here if we would like to add in additional feedback for students to receive. So the grammar mistake markup that we saw earlier was the grammar insights, and suggested response was the model response we looked at there. Now, moving forward, let's look at some of the improvements we made to the AI engine. We got quite a bit of feedback in the last school year about some inconsistencies in the grading. And in analyzing this and working with teachers that were using Speakable, we realized that the AI hallucinations when it came to the grading, feedback, and proficiency level estimation were somewhere in the 1% to 2% range. And it wasn't always scoring things as consistently as we would have liked. So we set a target to get this down below 0.2% to eliminate most of the inaccuracies. And so over the summer, we changed the model that we're using behind the grading, feedback, and the proficiency level estimation. With our internal testing, we're seeing more consistent grading, more reliable feedback, and stronger, more consistent proficiency level estimates. And finally, we have updates here to the free plan. On July 1st, we made changes to our plans. So Teacher Pro, we sunsetted. We added those features into the free plan, as well as all of the other auto grading and instant feedback features and functionality. Now, all of the teachers on a free plan are able to use instant feedback and auto grading. And you have 100 AI credits each month to use, and these are consumed when we assign an activity to a class. If you want to learn more about the pricing and the changes, you can go to speakable.io/pricing. Good morning, Wanda. And with that, we'll wrap up the first session. So we'd love to see if there's any questions that folks have. If you're on YouTube, you can leave these in the chat there, and we'll be able to see them and respond to them. Any questions? How many credits does this type of activity use? From Rebecca. That's a good question. The short answer pages will use the least amount of credits. The AI credits essentially are aligned with the credits are aligned with the complexity of the auto grading and feedback. So with the short answer that we just introduced, these are going to use 1 credit per page per classroom assigned. So for example, if we have an activity with 5 short answers and we assign that to 2 classrooms, that will use 10 credits. The pass-fail proficiency-based grading and the rubric auto grading, these are on the written and spoken open responses. Pass-fail will use 20 credits per classroom, proficiency-based 40, and the rubric will use 60. If you need more credits, there is the ability to top up your credits from within the app. And we've also introduced a new team plan, which has 3 seats. And Andrew's going to discuss in our next session that allows you to have more credits per month or unlimited credits. Christy, can I set up classes with the free plan? Yes, Christy, with the free plan, you can set up classes. There isn't any restrictions there. We have native integrations with Google Classroom and Clever for roster syncing, as well as the ability to use a join link to have students join those classes. Okay, any other questions? Okay. Students. Margaret, how many students in each class? I have 11 classes with 244 total students. Wow, Margaret, that is quite a few students to work with. Is there a limit on the students in the classroom? 40. You can have up to 40 students in a classroom. Christy, credits can be purchased. They're called credit top-offs. One of the big changes we wanted to make with the free plan was we previously had Teacher Pro, which was an annual subscription, and it didn't make a lot of sense for teachers who are using Speakable, sometimes not using it during the summer. So we got rid of the automatically renewing subscription, and we wanted to align this more with your usage. So everybody has 100 free credits in their account, and if you need to top up because you're using more credits at some point, you can purchase credit packets, and those range from $10 to $50 depending on the number of credits that you need. And we can show how to top up those credits here. Margaret, one moment. I'm going to create a new account and we'll look at how exactly to do the credit top-ups. So now I'm here in a free account. And if I go into create an activity, let's add in a couple of page types here. Short answer, open response. Okay. So here we can see, let's delete this. We've got one short answer here. And down in our bottom left corner, we can see that this is going to use 1 AI credit when it's assigned to a classroom. Now, if we add in more pages, we'll do an open response. And we'll use the standards-based grading. We can see this updated from 21 to 41. So this is using 40 credits. And we added several of these. We can see here now we're in the assigning page. And it's telling me this is going to use 121 credits per classroom assigned to. So because this is over the 100 that we have, we can actually just do a top up here, get more credits, and then we can assign this. And so this is available when you're doing the assigning. You can also click in the bottom left here. We can see what plan we're on. We can update our credits and also view the team and organization plan details here. Hopefully that helps with the credits. Are there any other questions? Maria in San Antonio says that her school is planning to buy a subscription. Awesome. If you need any help, Maria, just reach out to hello at speakable.io if you're not already working with someone on our team. The Google Classroom integration is available at the teacher level. So what we want to do is sign in with Google. When we sign in with Google, this will connect Speakable to our Google Classroom. And then we can simply go into our classrooms, create a classroom, and we'll see the Google Classroom option here. If, like in this case, it isn't displaying access to this, we can check our integration here in our settings. We can see it's connected, learn more about troubleshooting, and then we can refresh the page. Then we'll connect Google Classroom here. This will pull in any rosters that I have available. And we'll be able to sync these rosters. Also, when we create an assignment, we can sync the assignment to Google Classroom. And those on the team or organization plan will be able to use the Google Classroom grade passback. Christy, how much is a subscription for a department? We have a couple of plans here, and this is going to be covered in our second session. So once we're done with this Q&A, we're going to do a quick 5-minute break, and then Andrew, our CTO, is going to come on, and he's going to cover the different plan types that are available. Maria says her students love Speakable. Thank you, Maria. Okay, these are great questions. Is there any questions related to the new short answer or the standards-based grading? Thank you. Yes, we're super excited to introduce the team plan in the second session. It was designed to make Speakable more affordable for departments and make it easier to get started. Okay. If there isn't any more questions, we can wrap up our first session here. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and then Andrew's going to come back. He's going to introduce our proficiency tracking reports, Teamspaces, where teachers can collaborate with each other and have a shared workspace to share activities, the new plans, and then also our new quote generation and PO checkout tool. Okay, we will see everyone in 5 minutes. Oh, I see one last question. Will we have access to this recording at a later time? Yes. This will be available on YouTube, and we will also send out a recording to this after it's all wrapped up. Typically, adding more context helps with French. The speech recognition sometimes has a difficult time picking up some of the sounds, especially if it's one syllable. So if we're doing listen and pronounce, yes, yeah, exactly. So if you're practicing like the number 1 in French, it might be best to just add 1 cat or 2 dogs, 3 tables. Typically, adding a little more context helps the speech recognition recognize those on the listen and repeat. And Mary, if you have more issues with that, feel free to chat us, and we'd be happy to take a look at your activity and see if we can help out with it. And for anyone that needs support, our team is available here in the bottom right corner in this chat, and we'll be happy to help anyone that's getting set up or has questions. Great questions. Any more questions? Okay. We'll give it 1 more minute for questions, and then we'll go to break. Okay. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll be back with Andrew.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us on Make It Speakable 2025, our special relaunch. Up next, everything that's new for schools, programs, and plans. Here's our CDO and co founder, Andrew Platt.
Okay, thank you, Valentina. Again, my name is Andrew. Helped found Speakable about 6 years ago, and I'm excited to present to you a lot of the stuff that myself and some other developers have been working on. Of course, our design team as well. So these features are meant to be for schools and organizations in general. And these general features are going to allow you to both collaborate as well as track your students' proficiency in any standard over time. So I'm going to go ahead and get started off with our organization dashboard. And again, this is going to be for organizations, but we'll cover the difference between those orgs and teams in just a bit. I know some people had some questions on them. Okay. Sorry, just a minute, having some challenges sharing. Okay. How do we do this? There it is. Okay. So what you're seeing here, this is a organization dashboard called the Bayside School District. So on our dashboard, you're going to see just an overview. And the main purpose of this, again, is for really administrators who have to manage a lot of teachers. Doesn't necessarily have to be a lot of teachers, but maybe you have different departments. Maybe you have a Spanish department. Maybe you have a French department. Maybe you have an ESL department. And you would like to divide them up into different teams. We'll talk about teams in just a minute. You can also just invite any member in your organization to both the organization dashboard as well as just being a part of a different team. So we'll cover that soon. And we have the students number here, which actually aggregates all of our students in the organization. So we use the students in the organization to track their proficiency levels, see their responses, and then, of course, track proficiency over time. So when you purchase an organization plan, you're going to be purchasing per student. And again, we'll cover that later on in the session. And you can see total assignments that your teachers have created. Now, what you see below is the most exciting updates we have here coming, which, again, this didn't exist. And I don't believe it really exists anywhere in the industry like we have it here now on Speakable. So what you're seeing here is reports that I've created for my organization. And what I'm doing is I'm sorting these reports for cohorts of students. So I have my ESL students grouped into the ESL student group here, and I'm actually tracking how many of those students have reached my target level of 4. We'll talk about how this gets set up soon, but I picked the WIDA proficiency standards and target level 4. And for my Spanish 1 group, which I set up, also I'm using the ACTFL standards for those, as well as the target level of intermediate mid. So, and I can see that 66% of those students are on track. So let's go ahead and dive into one of these reports, and I'll show you how we create them in just a minute. So at the top of my report, I'm going to see the average level for the last report that was generated. In this case, we're on this month, July 2025. Okay. Now my target level is intermediate mid. So again, most of my students are reaching that, but we can dig into more details in just a little bit. And in this particular cohort, I'm actually tracking 82 students across various classrooms in my organization. And I can see that 66% of them are, for this current report, at or above the standard target level. Okay, so we're using the at or above target level to really track proficiency as a group here. And like I said, we can really dig in to more details when we scroll down here a bit. So we did a lot of thinking about what's the best way to show proficiency for your students kind of as a group. It's a really big challenge, right? And one of the ways to represent that is a board that we have here. So you'll see kind of on the x-axis here, we have the standard level for, again, these are actual proficiency guidelines. They're not exactly actual proficiency guidelines, but they're mirroring those. So we have novice low, novice mid, all the way up to, distinguished and superior over here on the other end. And then what we're really getting is just a distribution and the students that fell into those buckets for this particular report. So the other way I can view this actually is this proficiency distribution chart that I have here. So I can see my students in the novice range right here. I can see intermediate, and then intermediate mid is my target for this particular Spanish group. And then I can see, how many students are above that, et cetera. At or above target, of course, we're tracking all the reports on a monthly basis. So we can see this happen across time. And I can see the percentage of students that have reached or are above that target level for that particular report that was generated. In addition, kind of at the macro level, right, we can see some AI generated insights here. I won't read all of these off to you, but I think you get the idea, right? We're just identifying patterns for that particular group and trying to kind of pull out something that you might want to know about that group. When I switch over to the Insights tab, I can actually see my students and I can see who went down from the last period or who's trending down, who's trending up. So I can see my list of students here and I can see the changes from the last report. So for example, Jill here moved from novice high to intermediate low. And then I can also see who's stable here. So this is really just kind of a nice view to see who's going up, who's going down, who's kind of staying the same. Now, if I head back to the overview, this is not all we have. So I haven't gone into all details of how this whole system works, but what we do, Speakable kind of has a pulse now. And on a monthly basis, we'll be generating reports for each of your students based on the standards that you select, either organization-wide or within this particular report that we generated. So whether that be TELPAS or WIDA, or in the future, we'll introduce custom standards that you can even make yourself. We'll be taking those standards and applying them to your students' responses that they've given over the last period, generate a report for them. Those reports are accessible both to teachers on the organization and team plans. And then they're all aggregated here in this report. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Fiona Brown here, and I can see a couple of things. So this is really just zooming into the student now. And again, this is just at the July, the current report that we have right now. So we can see that she landed at novice high for speaking and writing and just overall. And then we can see how she's been landing on these proficiency levels over time. So I can look back in July and okay, so there's some inconsistencies going on here. She's been a little up and down, so she's probably not progressing all that much. Okay, now when I go down below, I'm gonna see a report also generated for her. So we're looking at the overall performance, the strengths that she has, and then also areas for improvement for her to kind of, or for you to get an eye on where she can work on. So these are very specific things too. We're not just saying broad information here. So focus on vocabulary breadth and depth to reduce reliance on circumlocution. And then, preterite and imperfect tense she needs work on, etc. So this is a really nice way to just kind of get an overview of what your student's doing. Now, in addition, where does this information come from? Well, the AI will collect samples from the student and will actually use those samples to determine what the current level of that student is. So for example, in the evidence column, you're going to see these samples collected from recent reports, and we'll be able to actually justify the current level of novice high. So each of these will give us a sample from the students, and then just a way that this demonstrates how we can demonstrate a novice high level. So we also track this, of course, for speaking and writing. So you'll get evidence based on speaking and writing. If your student doesn't have any, for example, writing responses, it'll just remain undetermined. Okay. Last, my responses tab. For these particular test students, I don't have responses in here, but this would be an entire history of all responses the student has given over time. So the first responses will be the most recently ones, but I can query and go back in time and search through additional responses. I can see the prompt they responded to, their response, an audio clip if there is one, if it's an audio response, and of course their written transcript if it was a written response. In addition, I can download and share these reports with the download report button. This will give you a nicely formatted report with basically all of this information, the summary, the evidence, and then their current levels according to the particular standard that they're using. Okay, so that's a general overview of these proficiency reports. Again, very exciting. First time you're really able to just kind of set it and forget it in the system. And the really nice part about this is that this is not like taking, a standardized test where, we got to set up the students. We have to, take a day off of school and do it. This all just happens naturally by using Speakable. So teachers across your district or across your school, as they use Speakable, we're just gathering that data and we're analyzing it across time. And that's the beauty of this. It requires so little setup. And then finally, again, if I want to go to past reports, it's very easy to just navigate and see. I can see the distribution changing across time for this particular group. Now, this is super easy to set up, and I think that's one of the most exciting parts about that. Now, in order to do something like this, if you were to do this manually, imagine kind of the effort you'd have to go through to have your students to respond to this, listen to recordings, estimate the levels, come up with reports for them. All of this is now automated in our system. And I'll show you how easy it is to do. So we're just going to head back to the organization dashboard. I'm going to create a report name. So I'll just call this Spanish 2 because I already have Spanish 1. And here I'm going to have the drop down of all the different proficiency standards I can use. So I'm just going to select ACTFL again, but you get the idea. There's anything in here. And again, in the future, we'll have custom standards, which you can, or your organization, maybe they use something that's not on this list. You'll be able to build that. Again, that's not available yet, but will be in the future. What you're seeing here is actually available now for our organization plans. So I'm going to select ACTFL. This is Spanish 2, so maybe I want them to hit intermediate low this time. Of course, it's Spanish, so I'm going to select Spanish from the list. So here we are, Spanish. And then now, this is really nice because we have flexible ways of creating these cohorts for the report. I can either paste in a list of student emails that are in my organization. So if I have a very particular group that's spanning across a whole bunch of different classrooms, and I just want to track them, probably really nice for ESL programs, I can just simply paste in a list of emails right here, and I'm going to start tracking that group. Now, it's also really easy to do. Let's say I just want to track a single classroom or even groups of classrooms. I can do that by selecting the classrooms. And what I would do is just find the relevant classrooms for those particular teachers. So this is just a list of all my teachers in my organization. I can select the classrooms, and then I can say, I want to generate a report based on that. So I'm going to go ahead and create this cohort. Okay. It shows up right here. Here's my Spanish cohort. Now, what you'll have to do for this, obviously, data collection has to happen. So we do that at the end of every month. We collect the data, we analyze it, and we generate that report that you see here. So month after month, you're going to see these reports generated over time. Okay, so that's kind of just a broad overview of what you can do for proficiency report tracking. I think a couple other things to note is that these particular student reports will be available on the team plans again, which I'll discuss in just a bit. There's no, when I refer to the proficiency reports, I'm referring to these particular reports that are generated right here. Again, those will be available just for individuals, students on the team plans as well. Okay, So again, this is a kind of a beautiful combination of tracking data that teachers are doing in their classrooms, or I should say that what students are doing on an everyday basis inside Speakable, and really doing it kind of a natural way. It's not forced in the sense we're having them sit down and do this. And it's just really gathering that information over time. So obviously, the more students are using Speakable, the more response data we have for them to kind of get a better picture and estimate their proficiency levels according to your standards over time. So this is again, very powerful feature available to organizations. So we did spend a little time on this. I want to go over and talk about Teamspaces now. So Teamspaces are also a new feature. I'm going to pop open my sidebar. Previously on Speakable, we had something just called Spaces. And Spaces allowed you to organize content, invite other teachers to your space, and it was just kind of like a Google Drive where you could share information. That's similar to what we have right now, but it now lives with your particular team and your organization. So if I'm in an organization, I can actually create many different teams in my organization. So again, I mentioned this earlier, but if you have a Spanish department, a French department, and ESL department, you're going to want to put those teachers together so they can share content and curriculum. I'm going to go ahead and show you switch to a team. So if I flip over to Teamspaces here, if I create a team, I'm going to automatically get, oops, looks like am I not sharing the right screen?
Still won't work.
Okay.
Oh.
It switched over. Okay. So if I create a team, I'm automatically going to get access to this workspace. Now, the beauty of this is if you have team leaders that want to organize content for that particular group, they can do that. And they also have access to controls to manage the content. So for example, if you have a lot of people in the team and you have like a curriculum coordinator that just wants to organize the content for that group, you can actually turn on the permissions and the settings so that just the curriculum coordinator can manage all the content on there. So this helps for a number of things. So new teachers on Speakable, when they walk in, they often don't want to have to create every activity themselves. Oftentimes there's someone who uses Speakable and they really just enjoy making the activities for their students. And this is a great place to share them. So in the team workspace, I obviously can see the other members of this particular team, my Spanish team over here. But the real magic happens when we start organizing that content into folders. So again, you can kind of think of this like a Google Drive in the sense that I can store really any type of information I have in here, whether that's Speakable activities, which obviously is kind of the best use case for this, but also if I have rubrics that I use and I want to share with my colleagues, I can add those rubrics here as well. So this is my particular rubric library. If I create one, I can select it and I can add it to that particular team space. So your teachers can go in, they can add them or save them to their rubric libraries, and they'll have access to use them anywhere. In addition, if I want to create, like, this is for my Spanish department, right? I've got an overview here of my entire Spanish 1 curriculum. Now, all the activities in here are actually referenced in this document, and I can see, starting with activity 1, I've got my basic greetings. So you can kind of set this up really like a course if you wanted to. You could set it up, create folders with, any topic, and just drop in the activities you have in there, and it's going to be shared with your whole team. In addition, less often used, but still important if you want to kind of share information, is videos and links that you might use in activities or additional information that you share as a group. So these team spaces can either be created by an organization itself, which wants to manage all of those teams. So you could have a curriculum coordinator that's managing ESL curriculum and French and German. However your organization is set up, you can do that. Or you can create a standalone team and fill it up with information there. Okay, and then going back to kind of wrap up what we have here, you just have quick access, and obviously the most recently used activities will be here. And if you just want to dump things in here without kind of being tied to a folder, you can do that too. So takeaways is that this is a great collaborative space to work together with other teachers who might teach your same language, or even if you're at the same school and you have shared resources that you need to access through Speakable, such as activities and rubrics. Okay, we're going to get into more details about the teams in a little bit, but this particular team is tied to an organization. So you're going to see there's no invite button, but inside Teams, normally when you create one, you'd be able to invite all the members in your organization. The people who set up the teams are team admins, and they'll have full access to the settings panel and admin and setting up team plans. But again, we'll get to that in just a bit. Okay, I think we can move on to the next topic here, which I want to cover just in general, the new plans and pricing. So you've heard a lot of references both to teams and organizations right now. So let's talk about how we set them up and what are the pricing plans for each of those. So I'm going to head back over here. All right, so first off, to create a team is very simple. You're going to see kind of a banner here if you don't have a team or no one's invited you to a team. I'm going to click the Create Team button, and I just have a very nice and easy walkthrough right here. So I'll name my team. I can invite members immediately. So I'm just going to make a test team really quick right here. And this team, again, you might be thinking, oh, how do I create an organization? So I'll show you that in just a minute. But the organization is a parent of the team. So one organization can have many teams, but you can also just have a standalone team if you'd like that as well. So here I can just quickly invite members, my colleagues, just type them in, click continue, they'll get an invitation, which is pending. Okay, now here's where we kind of diverge from a free team, the team plan, right? And then the organization plan. So I'll talk about the differences now. So you can set up a free team and start collaborating immediately. You do have access to one folder. Obviously on those free plans, you're still going to have those 100 credits per month, whether you're on the free team plan or whether you're just on a regular free plan with or without the team. So those monthly credits obviously refresh. And what you're kind of leaving out here, obviously, is the credits is a big one, right? So if you upgrade to a team plan and purchase seats for your teachers or are a teacher and would like a seat, right, you're going to get access to more credits. So that's really just allows you to create more assignments and then start doing proficiency tracking. So let's go ahead and talk about the kind of primary differences between the team and the organization plan. So the team plan is really meant for, departments or small schools that maybe, they have a particular budget this year and they need to work within those constraints. Obviously, the team plan is great. There's a lot to it, right? But we have the core seat, which is 1,000 credits per month. Again, the free plan is just 10 credits per month. And this is $300 per year. So it comes out to be approximately $25 per month. The advanced seat is, for users who might need to use a lot more advanced grading. So Austin on the last session had talked about all sorts of, grading methods and the credits, et cetera. So every time I create an assignment, I'm obviously using credits. And if I'm using kind of the more advanced grading methods, that's using more credits. So advanced seats, this would be great for people who are using Speakable more frequently than the core seats and need kind of more of those advanced gradings. So advanced seats and unlimited seats will kind of give you more access to make sure that you can assign stuff on a weekly basis, especially if you're really interested in using rubrics and that proficiency-based grading, you might need more access to more credits. So these two would be good ideas for you. And then of course, what we call student portfolios is that view I showed you earlier of kind of that panel with the student progress over time with the proficiency standards. So you'll have access to the ACTFL standard and WIDA. If your students are English, those are automatic. To get the custom standards for the portfolios, those are on the organization plan. And of course, with the team plan, you do get the ability to share and create unlimited content in the Teamspaces. We'll talk about billing and how this is done in just a moment, but both of the team and organization plans allow you to generate quotes in the platform, as well as check out with a purchase order or a credit card, which is a really exciting development in the edtech space now. So instead of kind of going back and forth by email, you can get that set up really quickly without kind of having to go through the drudgery of emailing back and forth. Hey, can I get a quote? How many students, et cetera. So that should save you a lot of time when you're trying to just, move forward with a purchase. And the same is true again for organizations. So I just showed you the organization dashboard, and that allows me to aggregate all the students in my organization and then track different groups for their particular proficiency standard and target level that you're looking for. The pricing works a little bit different for the organization plan. This will be based on the number of student licenses that you're purchasing. So the number of teachers or admins that you add to that technically is unlimited. So it's really just based on, hey, how many students are we going to add to our organization, and how many are going to be using Speakable? That will be based on per student. Okay, so what do you get on the organization plan? Well, I mentioned unlimited teams and team management. So curriculum coordinators creating those teams, adding teachers to those teams, and then managing content on those teams. Obviously, we have settings that allow you to just allow the team members to obviously, if you would want to allow them to edit the content in those teams, that's fine too. Unlimited AI grading. So any teacher that's using the organization plan, there are no limits to what they can do. They have unlimited AI grading, unlimited AI feedback, etc. Also access to those portfolios, which we had shown you earlier. The cohort and custom standards progress tracking. That's what I showed you in the report panel. So create that cohort based on your standards, set it and forget it. We're tracking student progress over time. Mentioned team workspaces. You will have dedicated onboarding and a customer support specialist. So I actually work with customer success. So if you did get an organization plan, we'll probably be doing an onboarding soon. And finally, this is often something that's really important for organizations, is the integrations. So with the organization plan, you'll get access to the LTI integrations, which are Schoology, Canvas, and many more. So which would be something like Moodle, Blackboard, etc. So I just created a team now, and I've kind of given you the pricing for each of these plans. So these plans are based on how many teacher seats I buy. So if I have 3 core seats, each teacher that I'm assigning to those core seats will be $300 per seat per year. And same for advanced and unlimited, goes as follows. So those are the differences between the plans. That's available on speakable.io/pricing. Again, we can leave those links for you in the chat if you need quick access. It also will give you more details, a detailed list of kind of the differences between these two plans as well. Okay, Senora Moreno, does this mean that the team plan will not integrate with Google Classroom? No, all of these also integrate with Google Classroom. This is just an additional feature with the organizations. It's an additional integration. So every plan has access to Google Classroom integrations for the roster sync. Okay, are these individual reports available for individual teacher accounts or just the organization level? So the reports are available at on the organization plan. So setting up those cohorts, et cetera. Now, if you're looking for the individual student reports, which was that pop-up that I showed you with the students' progress over time, et cetera, and the students' proficiency level, that's available also on the team plan, but just for the individual students. Generating the report across groups is available in the organization plan. So you can think of the team plan is great for these small teams with teachers that want to track proficiency for individual students, whereas organizations allow you to do it for large groups. Okay. how many activities does this report include to determine their level? So what we do is we take the past 100 responses that a student did in Speakable. So if it's less than that, we just take everything that's there. And then we generate that monthly report for each student based on those responses. Weighting more recent responses as well. So if we see kind of breakthroughs come out in more recent responses, it's taking that into account as it generates those reports. So we will do a Q&A towards the end, so I can definitely answer more questions, but
Let's do the Q&A now. Let's keep going.
Okay.
There's a lot of questions.
Sure. We're going to do the QA now, and then I will show you how to check out for team and organization plan with a quote and a purchase order. So that's really easy to do, but we'll just do a couple of quick questions now. So Mary asked, how many credits would come with the $10 pack? It should be 500 credits for the $10 pack. Okay, do we have other questions? I couldn't see, but are the AP standards for speaking included? So we're using just the common frameworks for the standards. We don't have the AP standards in there, but what would be interesting is when we release custom standards, developing those out. And so in theory, in the future, yes, we could have any standard that you like, which would be in this case, a custom standard that we'd add. We're using the most common frameworks used kind of in the United States and across the globe. So.
Rubrics for AP a lot of time.
Yeah, so sorry, Austin's in the background here. He mentioned rubrics. So Rebecca, if you're looking to really kind of align with AP standards for speaking, I would create a rubric and attach that to a respond card. So for example, if you have a prompt that you'd like to emulate on the AP exam, create the prompt and then attach a custom AP rubric. Again, that's all available. Probably a little bit different than the standards that we're demonstrating here. Okay, other questions? Getting lots of questions here. Sorry, I have to move this little thing here. It's blocking my view. Just a minute. Okay, question from Rebecca again on the team plan. Is this per teacher or per team? Meaning you have more than one teacher on a team. This is per seat. So I can have a team of 10 teachers. Now, not everyone on that team needs to have a seat per se, but anyone that wants access to the credits will need to be assigned a seat. So for example, if I have 10 teachers on my team, I can kind of mix and match the different seats that I purchase for each one of them, right? Maybe the teacher Susie doesn't want to, I don't know, maybe she's not going to use Speakable that much for whatever reason. She could, use a core seat. Maybe some other people are power users. They'd want probably something like advanced or unlimited seats. So you can mix and match per team for the one teacher. So yeah, these plans are based on per seat. Yes, so seat really just means the teacher, exactly. We call them seats obviously because there's different seats here with different credit amounts. Okay, does this mean that the team plan will not integrate with Google Classroom? Covered that earlier and mentioned that all of these plans you can use Google Classroom with. And then there's another one, which is the Teacher Pro subscription will no longer be available when my renewal comes up in February. That's correct. So your Teacher Pro is still turned on. You'll have unlimited pass and fail. All of the other grading methods will consume credits. However, pass and fail will not. So you essentially have this, your Teacher Pro plan is now enhanced because you can use the other grading methods. They'll just consume credits, whereas pass fail will work as it did for you before. You'll have unlimited pass fail on the Teacher Pro plan. So that was the way in which we worked out kind of sunsetting that plan. Okay, what other questions do we have? Yeah. Okay, so last thing I wanted to show you, since I just created a team, let's go ahead and run through if you or your organization would like to create a quote and then check out with that in just a minute here. So I'm going to go ahead and select seats. For this demo, I'm going to make a quote for 2 unlimited seats. So again, I mentioned before, I have 2 teachers, they want unlimited seats. I'm going to pick 2 there, but I can mix and match these any way in which I'd like. And this allows me to either check out immediately. It'll take you to a checkout page where you put in a credit card to pay, or I can create a quote and send this to an administrator or who's ever the decision maker to make the decision about buying Speakable. So I'm going to generate this quote, and you'll see in just a second, all of this quote will contain all the different information you need on it. Now, if there's specific like billing and address details, you can fill those in the settings, the team or organization settings, and those will show up on the quote. This one, I just created the team, so I didn't actually kind of change those settings. So it's just going to show some generic information about my team here. But here I can see, here's the quote. It's from Speakable Technologies, our address, and then what am I purchasing, the total cost, and then who's the quote for. So again, if this information, quote for, needs to change, you can go into your settings and regenerate the quote, and that information will show up. So I'm going to go ahead and close this, and I'm going to show you the final thing today, which is how to check out with this, in this case, this particular team plan. So this is my test team here, as I can see, and I'm in this admin panel. So in the admin panel, I have billing, seats, settings, usage. Now, I just created a quote. I haven't purchased yet. So now let's imagine I go ahead and take that quote, which is referenced here. I can re-download that, I can delete it, and I can accept it. I got approval, and now I have a purchase order. Come back, I have a purchase order on a PDF. I can actually now start my subscription immediately with that purchase order. So if you have permission to buy with a credit card, you can just go ahead and check out that way. But again, a lot of organizations require purchase orders. So this is a really exciting innovation that we've made on Speakable that allows you to just start right away. So I'm going to go ahead and upload a purchase order for $1,920. So the really interesting part here is that, yes, we're going to manually review this in the back end, but we're right now to get you going immediately, and we don't have to have this back and forth. You're just going to upload that purchase order, and we're going to use AI to analyze it, pull off the most important information, verify that it's a valid purchase order and has the correct cost on it. And as you can see, this purchase order was just validated. I can click next. And then the final step here, all I have to do to get started is just fill in the correct information that needs to be on the invoice. So this is my test school district. I've got my address information on it. I can add shipping address. Most of the time you won't need that, but in case your organization requires it, you can put it in. I'm going to send this to myself. I'm going to bill myself, but you would put the billing contact in here, whoever should receive it. And then if there's a purchase, or if there was a purchase order number on it, I'm going to go ahead, and the AI pulled this off and added it onto here. And obviously, if you upload yours with a PO, it'll add it into this field. If it doesn't, for some reason, make sure you fill it in, because that will be on the invoice. I'm going to go review payment. I'm going to agree to a couple terms. And then again, you can look at our cancellation policy in terms of use right here. And I'm going to go ahead and create invoice and start my plan. And that's it. This is going to send the invoice to the billing contact, and you're now going to have access to assigned seats in your team plan. So let's see what that looks like as the final step here before we go back to Q&A. This just takes a little bit to set up the subscription, and there we are. So successful. The invoice was sent, team plan, and some other information. I'm going to go ahead and continue to the dashboard, and you'll notice my admin panel has changed. I now show up with 0 of 2 assigned seats. So the last step for someone who just purchased a team plan is they need to now assign the seats. So I haven't added anyone else to this particular team plan. it's going to show up with me. You're going to notice that here's myself and my seat type is free. And these are the seats that I have available. I have 2 unlimiteds to assign. So I'm going to go edit seat and assign it. I'm not going to do that right now since I'm already on this organization plan here. But you get the idea. I'll take all the teachers in my team, and then once they're on the team, I can go through and assign them the particular seat that they were selected, whether it's all one or a various selection of core, advanced, or unlimited. And if there is someone on the team who didn't purchase, they can remain on the team. They'll just be on the free seat still, which will be the 100 AI credits per month. Okay, so you've seen a full walkthrough of everything from the organization dashboard and those Teamspaces to the different plan types, and then finally how we can immediately check out and create a team or even an organization. You actually can create an organization plan this way as well. Okay, so what questions do we have remaining after that particular presentation? Yeah, we'll have Austin join us as well for this. Okay, if you are using a team plan, can any members be on a free plan? Yes. So if I have 4 teachers, 3 of them purchased, one of the seats, that person will just remain on the free seat. That's correct. Okay, adding to Caitlin's example. For example, if I have a TLC head teacher who gets a team plan, can she then create lessons for both a Spanish teacher and an ELL teacher who are on free plans with their team? Yes. So the team space will still be, the workspace will still be available to that person on the free plan. In fact, if anyone purchases any plan on the team, they'll have access to create the unlimited folders. You can still add unlimited content to that one folder on the free team. So yeah, it won't matter if she's on the free plan, she'll still have access to your activities inside of the team space.
Yeah, the team spaces were designed to be super flexible, so you can set it up like whatever works for your organization. There might be cases where you want to just have like the Spanish department. There might be cases where anyone that's teaching a new language wants to be in the team space. So it's really meant to be flexible, and you can use it like any way that makes sense.
Okay, should we address Rebecca's question here? Once a team is created, say with 2 teachers on a free plan, can one of those teachers update their seat status at any time in the year? Yes, so once you purchase those seats, they're available to be assigned at any time. Now, you're creating a subscription for those number of seats, so the day you purchase it is the day that it starts, and anytime after that, you can immediately assign any teacher those seats.
It's super common to start with a free team too when you're getting going, because a lot of times folks are getting a purchase order and they have the free team there, they're setting it up, and then they're taking that quote, getting the purchase order, and then coming back and doing the checkout. So in the meantime, you can use the free plan, add more people to it, and start getting it set up.
Okay, Maestra Moreno, I can address that immediately after this, and I'm going to look into that, and we'll get that solved. We might have to just double check what's going on there with your Teacher Pro plan to make sure that's turned on in the new system. Okay, what other questions do we have on teams and orgs? I don't know, is there any other takeaways that I missed explaining the difference between the two, or?
I think that the big thing is previously we had the organization plan, which was priced per student per year. And the reason that we've introduced this team plan, there was a lot of cases where a world language department being priced per student per year made it cost prohibitive. And we wanted to have an option where we could get away from pricing per student, because it can change. And some teachers are working with over 250 students, as we've seen here in this chat. So the team plan really is a flexible option where it's priced per teacher per year, And you can purchase the seats based on how much usage you have.
So back to Rebecca. So I think if I understand this correctly, if you're on a core or an advanced seat on the team plan and you run out of credits, can you get more? Is that what you meant? Because if you do need to top off credits, you do have the credit top off available if you were to run out of them. Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but let us know in the chat if that answers the question.
In a case where, let's say we had a core, we're on the team plan, we have a core seat and we ran out of credits, you could do the credit top off and purchase them yourselves. It is possible to upgrade that seat, or
once you have a seat for yourself, you can switch teachers on those seats, but the seats that you purchase for that particular year and subscription are pretty much set. If there is some issues, obviously contact us and we can see what we can do to help you with that, but that's the way it works in the system currently. Okay, so the grading options. Yes, all grading options are available to all plans, including the free plans. So really what the only limits you have now are just how many assignments you can create then, depending on the plan you have. So all grading methods, all page types available to everyone now on all plans. Okay, would it be correct to say that as long as one member maintains a paid membership, the Teamspace stays active for us to share and access across those resources across our team? Yeah, correct. Yep. Now we buy 2 seats and one of our 4 teachers wants to upgrade their seat status.
Okay. So in this scenario, Rebecca, we would have 4 people in a team. Two were purchased. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can add seats in the future, by the way. So if I were to share my screen again, I'm not sharing. Mind if I switch over here? There you go. So this isn't an active team. So let's say, for example, only 2 people wanted at the beginning of the year. You can actually go later. So you'll notice this unlimited is set right there because I already have those 2 seats. Now, if I buy them mid-year, this will actually be prorated. So let's see what happens here. It's going to load the proration. So this is an upgrade quote, and I can get a quote for that just like I did for creating the new plan, or I can immediately upgrade now by adding a credit card and just purchasing right away. So this is really nice, in case someone wants to join later. And like I mentioned, it will be prorated. So you can already see a little time has passed. So, save 2 cents on the plan now since, 10 minutes has passed. But yeah, so if you were to buy that mid-year, it would actually be half the price technically because it's prorated due to the time of the subscription. But that would end the same time as the original subscription was set up. So just prorated. One thing we didn't mention is if you do have a plan as well, this is probably not relevant since we're at the beginning of the school year, you can deal with the renewal from here as well by generating a quote and kind of going through that same process. How can we use this with IB rubrics? The scoring is different. So you can create any custom rubric you want from the builder to grade your students' responses.
Should we show rubric creation just for anyone that hasn't seen that? We didn't cover that today.
Sure. I'm going to create a new activity, and to show a rubric, I'm going to create an open response here. So click the automatic grading. I have standards-based set as my default. I'm going to click on rubric here, and you're going to notice there's this kind of speakable standard world language set there. You're going to want to click on that. And I'm either going to want to pick from one of the templates. You can look at what you recently used, my own, and then some saved ones. So once you have a Teamspace and you start saving them, they'll start appearing here. So I don't have an IB rubric to share with you, but you can make one. So I'm going to go create new rubric. And if you wanted to, you can actually upload a PDF of an existing IB rubric you have, and it'll do its best to pull off all of the criterion. However, if you just want to give it a description, you can do that here too. I'm not super familiar with how the IB rubric works exactly. And this will kind of just generate a nice rough draft for you, and you can go in and edit it as you need to. Obviously, adjust these, based on what your needs are. Think of every rubric as a prompt for the AI. It's going to see the full prompt. It's going to pick the grading criteria based on the score information that you put in there. Okay. So again, I don't know how aligned this is up, how well aligned this is for IB. But if you want something really IB aligned, you'd want to tell exactly what you wanted there in the description, in the box, or upload a PDF. So here, if I want to adjust all of these different score criteria, the names, and then exactly the definition, the score definitions here, you're going to want to make those adjustments. And do note, since we are using, a machine to do this, AI, right? It will take these things pretty literally. So you can toy around with adjusting these prompts in the score criteria to make sure you're getting the results that you want. And of course, when you're ready to go, I don't know if you have anything else to add about that, but
no, typically with IB AP, if you give it a good prompt, the AI can typically generate it. In that case, it just did 3 levels to it, which I would imagine is not correct. So we might need to adjust the prompt. But usually uploading a PDF is the easiest way to take a rubric that you're already using and get it into Speakable.
So I've got the prompt here, and I've got my new IB rubric, quasi IB rubric, not a great one. But and then I assign that to my students, and now they're rubric graded.
You cut me out of the screen, Andrew. Very nice.
Okay, what other questions can we answer for you?
And if you do have more questions about the plans and the pricing, we're definitely happy to answer those questions. So feel free to reach out to our team. We're in the chat in the bottom right of the app. You can email us at hello@speakable.io as well.
Yeah, I really appreciate everyone's time. I know you're probably wrapping up summer break and taking some time to join us today. It really means a lot to us. And again, these updates, we're really excited to make sure that Speakable is more accessible to everybody, including the people on the free plans to try out auto grading. Give your students, a little bit of feedback every month, and for whatever reason, if your school is unable to purchase, you'll still have access to those and could even top it off as well. And then, of course, we're really excited to release our proficiency reports and proficiency tracking over time. I personally think it's an innovative thing in the space, and we're excited to start working with our users on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the listen and repeat, those activities are completely free, and they don't use credits. Credits are used when we're using the AI feedback and the AI grading. So on any open response, if you turn on AI grading, which you couldn't set it to manual, then it's going to enable it's going to use credits. And the short answer will use 1 credit, but multiple choice, listen and repeat, adding media pages, those don't consume any credits.
Yeah, and the way we design the credit system is so that, short answer, you can use a lot of short answer on the free plan. And the reason why we're able to do that is because it uses a lot less It costs a lot less on the AI for us. However, the advanced grading uses more AI, and therefore we have it consume more credits. But for all practical purposes, that means on a free plan, you have 100 short answers that you could assign per month. So you also now have really quite a bit of access to AI auto grading on the free plan as well. So yeah, just short answer and the open responses are the only ones that use AI credits. Everything else is free.
And the customers I've been working with are kind of thinking about this by grade levels. So if you're teaching level 1 learners, you're going to have a lot of features that are available to you that don't consume credits. So listen and repeat, short answer, those aren't going to consume a lot of credits. And it's situations where students aren't producing a lot of writing or speaking. So when they're just beginning. Now, as you get up to the higher levels, and students are starting to produce a lot of speech, are starting to produce a lot of writing, that tends to be the activities that are going to use quite a bit more of the credits. So when planning for a team plan, if you're deciding which seats to use, that can be kind of a good way to think about it. Any other questions? Thank you all so much. Really appreciate all of the questions and everybody showing up. I'm sure it's the end of summer, so I know it's taking time out of maybe your last 3 days here, so definitely really appreciate it.
Gracias, parceros. Okay, chévere. All right. Yeah. Again, thank you for joining us today. And these videos will be available, so please share them with your colleagues if they were unable to attend. And we look forward to your feedback on the new features and are really excited to get going. Reach out to us in the chat on Speakable. It's usually Austin, myself, or Santiago replying. So,
Lindsay, if you log in and create an activity, in the activity builder, it's going to tell you in the bottom left corner the total credits that activity will use. So I think that's the best way. There's an explanation on the pricing page in the FAQ there, but it seems like the easiest way to get a feel for it is just log in, go into an activity, create it, and see how many credits it will use. We can wait a moment to see if we have any other questions.
Yeah, I think the most exciting thing for us too is like all of this stuff was kind of behind a wall before, right? In order to get access to even just pass fail, it was on Teacher Pro. In order to get access to all of the other grading types, well, which was just really rubric before, now we have proficiency-based grading. You had to be on an org plan. Now everyone can try everything. It's just a matter of usage with your classroom. So try it, use it, see how you like it, and you'll get kind of a feel for how things work. So looking forward to your feedback as well. So thank you guys.
Yes, and if you thought this was helpful or interesting, you have colleagues that might think so as well. This video is on YouTube, and if you could share with them, we'd love that. And then our marketing team will also be sharing these resources and some clips after this is all wrapped up.
Christy, I don't speak French, but I believe merci means thank you. Beaucoup.
Can you pronounce?
Don't ask me to pronounce French.
I know a tool you could use.
Actually, I could say all the French numbers. Okay. What are your hours for chat support? Well, anytime during the day we'll reply. If someone's sleeping, we'll respond as soon as possible.
Typically between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m.
Yeah. Work hours typically. All right. Shall we say our goodbyes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Take care. Looking forward to joining us on the new school year.
Ah.